Unfortunately, I can't zero in. I can let me fast forward it. But
you know why we are here.
Okay.
I am a trafficker of information. I know everything I can.
Can y'all hear it okay?
The question is, do you know why you are here? We are looking for the keymaker. Oh yes, it is true. The keymaker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The keymaker himself is very nature. It is not an end. And so, to look for him is to be looking for a means to do what? You know the answer.
Oh, shoot. I hit the wrong button. Hold on.
Format that audiences have become accustomed to thanks to the Universal monster movies and the Hammer horror films, and makes
There it is.
Chateau
Let me just get...
We are looking for the keymaker.
Did you hear what he said? Because it's not pausing.
The keymaker, of course. Okay. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The keymaker.
There's not the reason, there's not the why, okay? You are here for a what? Reason. Now, it finally paused. Something's wrong with YouTube now. Russians. Okay, it's not going to work now, so I'll just go ahead. The whole scene revolves around causality. And what is causality? That's what we're starting to study. I wish I could show you the video, but when all y'all leave and class is over, the video will play fine. So we're not going to even try it. I'm done. Correlation and causality. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to the white screen, and we're going to go away from the book right now because I want to show you some things that are graphic. Okay, I want to show some graphing type scenarios, okay? First of all, if I give you a graph, this right here is called a scatter plot. A scatter plot is when you take different amounts of data and you do what? You plot it. Okay, that's what you call a scatter plot. So write that down. Scatter plot. And I'm going to show you how to do it on your calculator too. Scatter plot. Now, do y'all remember in algebra when you used to plot things and it used to look like this? And you drew a line?
Yes.
Does everything look like that in real life?
No.
No. In fact, real life looks more like this. Now, this is good if you can find points, but what you're going to do is you're going to find that line, and you're going to predict. Okay? When you have a scatter plot, there's three things that you're looking for. All right? You're looking for a line that goes left to right up, left to right down, or horizontal. And that's called lines of tendency. Lines of tendency. Lines of tendency. This is a positive correlation. This is a negative correlation. And this is zero correlation. And correlation is spelled C-O-R-R-E-L-A-T-I-O-N. Correlation. Correlation is directly related to what? Slope. Does that ring a bell? From your algebra?
Yes.
Thank you. Got 2 yeses out of 8, 9 people. Thank you for the interaction. Can anybody tell me what the general form of a line is?
Do you mean like formula for it?
Say again, I didn't
Do
hear.
you mean the formula for this?
Yes, what is the formula? Well, no, not the formula. What is the general form of a line? I'll put this down here. This is over here. The left side is statistics. The right side is a review over algebra. Okay, so here we go. The general form of a line is y is equal to mx, or y is equal to mx, what'd you say? Plus b.
Yeah,
And
that's
this,
what I was wondering.
you could write this as a plus 0 because that's going through the origin. Okay?
That's
Now-
what I thought you were meaning, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Now this is review, so all of you should be looking at that and saying, oh yeah, I remember that. If you're not saying that, then we need to review a little bit. And when you send me questions, that's because there are some questions in this section where you actually find the slope and stuff like that, and if not, don't worry about it. If there's not any there, then don't worry about it. Sometimes I get this class mixed up with 120, so we'll look at the questions as you send them. Okay. Now, with this, and I don't think I can do this, but I'll try. Nope, it's not going to let me. So, well, let me try this. Let me try this, and then I'll hit. Y'all know I've received no training on this board. Y'all know that, don't you? None whatsoever.
I feel like that's ridiculous. You can't just put something in a classroom and expect it.
Oh, they did 2 years ago. This is no joke. 2 years ago, Tri-County Tech put these very nice systems. They're very nice. These are Rolex systems with the whiteboard and the perfect, okay? We still have not got training on them. To this day, have not got training on these things. I'm about the only one that uses them. I don't know. I think there's a couple more that use them. This just blows my mind how technology is just like, okay, we need to put posters up. It's just like it doesn't exist. It just
My
blows
history
my mind.
teacher
I'm
tried
sorry.
that.
I was ranting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. There we go.
Miss Riddle said something.
What'd you say?
Oh. I said my
Miss
history
Riddle, what'd you
teacher-
say? I'm sorry. You have a question?
No, I was just going to comment. My history teacher tried these boards the first day of class. It was a total fail.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. What's the history teacher?
What's her last name? Bird?
Huh?
Tracy Bird, I think, is her name.
Well, I guess we just might as well forget. I can't explode this. If I explode it, it makes it too busy, so I'm not going to explode it. I wanted to make this smaller, but I can't because it's gathered with that. So
Can you not grab the button down at the
no, you
bottom?
can't do anything like CAD. You can't do anything like CAD. It's totally its own system. One of these days, I'm going to attend a conference if I can ever find one on how to use that one thing. But anyway, slope is equal to delta y over delta x, which means y sub 2 minus y sub 1, yes, change of y over change of x, over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Again, this is review. Okay, this is a formula to calculate the slope. And then I'm going to give you the point slope equation. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. And those are the two formulas that you use to find the equation or find the slope. Now, all of this you should remember from pre-algebra 101 and 102. Okay, so I'm going to put those three classes up here. Pre-algebra 101 and 102. Or you had algebra 1 and 2 in high school, or you had 101 and 102 here. Okay? Now, when you have a scatter plot, now we're going back over here. When you have a scatter plot, you want to look at this area and see if you can find any kind of tendency. Okay? Now, there's a complicated formula, and I'm not going to ask that you do it, and it's called least squared best fit. Okay? And that's where you actually can construct a line in those dots, and it's called the line of regression. Okay? Best fit. And it'll put a line in there, something like this. So something like that. Okay, based on those points, it'll put a line something like that. And that's called the best fit line. And we're going to study that line. And that means that there is a slight positive correlation. Why is there a slight positive correlation?
This is not like from the origin of.
Okay, it's not a 45-degree angle like this. Okay, that would be a strong positive correlation. But since it's going at a slight angle, it's a slight positive correlation. Now, I'm going to erase this side over here because this is kind of a review, and I'm not really worried about it because we'll...
I have a question.
Yes.
Before you erase that, we cannot see what you put on the bottom right corner.
Okay, hold on. You just have to guess. Now look at that. Now, see, that's what's so frustrating. See, a while ago, I couldn't do it, but now it's decided, okay, we're going to separate. So you figure it out. Now, so I got to move this over.
Thank you.
Can you see it now, even though it's...
No, we just need the last bubble to the lower right.
Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. There you go. How about that?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to erase the bottom right here. I'll leave that up on the board a second or two. Did I record? Am I recording? Yes. Okay, so correlation. We said correlation and causality. I want you to write down this statement. Correlation does not mean causality. Now, what is causality? Well, in the scene where he's talking about wine, okay, he gives this statement. Now, I know some of y'all are going to be like, oh, I can't believe he used that statement, but you'll get over it, okay? He says, I drink too much wine, I have to pee. Now, you can put, instead of wine, you can put water, you can put beer, whatever you want to, okay? The whole point is, what is causality? I just gave you an example. What is causality? Somebody explain to me why I said you drink too much wine, you have to pee. Why did I say that when I say causality? Tell me what causality means. Okay, I'll do it. One thing impacts what? Another. Okay? Or one thing causes what? An effect. There you go. Good job. One thing, and the key word is what? Causes the other. Write that down and memorize it. Well, Hubert, what is correlation? Correlation is a direct relation to what? Slope. So if you're telling me there's a positive correlation, basically you're telling me there's a positive what? Slope. Remember me telling you that sometimes statisticians make up words just to make themselves feel important? Well, here's another example. Slope, 25-cent word for slope is correlation, except it's used in a little bit more of a statistical way versus a mathematical way. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say, let me take my handy-dandy eraser, and let's say that I'm doing a research project, and I want to find out two things. I'm going to find out what the highest rated movie is in Anderson, and I want to compare it to the suicide rate in Anderson. So I go to the Amstar Theater and I say, what is your best what is the movie this last 2 weeks that has really just went off the charts? Okay? And they say, oh, it's, y'all remember the movie Con Air? Con Air with Nicolas Cage? Okay. Well, I'm going to use that because it has Nicolas Cage, and I like to pick on Nicolas Cage because he's different. Okay? So, Con Air. They say Con Air is the best movie the last couple of weeks because it really, a lot of tickets have sold. Okay? I said, can you give me those sales for the last 2 weeks? And they say, yeah. And tickets, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it looks like that. Okay? And the star of the star of Con Air is what? Nicolas Cage. Then I go over to the Anderson County Hospital. I'm sorry, it's not the Anderson, AmMed. I go to AmMed and I say, what are the suicide rates in Anderson the last 3 weeks? And they say, blah, blah, blah. And I say, can I borrow that information? Can you run me a Xerox of it? And I plot it and I see something like this. So, as a mathematician and a statistician, you know what I can say? Nicolas Cage causes suicide. Can I say that? No, I won't have yes or no. Can I say that?
No.
No. Why? Could you say that this is just a coincidence? Yes. I could have put, instead of Con Air, I could have put, how many people are gaining weight this week? Okay? And it would have looked like suicide. There's just some things. Now, if I put, let's see, what is a terrible movie or a terrible actor that nobody likes? I can't think of any right now. Huh?
Russell Brand.
I don't even know who that is.
Katy Perry's ex-husband.
Okay, well, if I put Russell Brand up there and nobody likes him, then yeah, that would be totally different because it would go something like that. But the whole point is, just because you have two things in the universe that show the same line, doesn't mean what? Does it mean what?
Causality.
Does it mean causality? All right? So what does causality? I drink too much wine, I have to pee. If you monitor how many glasses of water you drink, will that have a direct causality or a direct correlation to how many times you got to go to the bathroom? Yes. That's causality. That's when correlation is causality. So this would be number of glasses of H2O, and this would be trips to the bathroom. Okay? That case, yes, one causes the other. So you need to know the difference. And the main thing I'm spending so much time on this class is, you've got to know the difference between correlation and causality. And the best way for me to explain that is correlation pretty much is in relationship to slope. You're telling me what's going on with this graph. The causality has to be determined by whoever's doing it. Okay? If you get a person that says, well, I've got a Con Air or Nicolas Cage movie, and then the Anderson suicide rate's going up the same rate, they must have something to do with each other, then that person is an idiot. Okay? Because you've got to put one in context of the other. And usually, causality, you have two very close objects or two very close items. How much closer than you get between something you drink and going to the restroom? That's about as close as you can get. Let me give you another example. This one is one that is causality, besides I drink too much wine. I have to pee. Okay, besides that one. And that is this. Okay, somebody tell me what that is telling us.
The heavier your vehicle is, the lower your gas mileage is.
Okay, this is saying the heavier your car is, vehicle, the heavier the vehicle, the less the what? Is that a correlation? Is that a causality? Yes. Same thing with, well, I get on the interstate every day and I get 25 miles a gallon, but when I put my family and luggage in the car, I only get 20 miles to the gallon. Duh! What's the problem? You get, exactly, there's more what in the vehicle? Weight. How about this? How about, well, I usually eat a little bit for breakfast, I usually eat a little bit for lunch, and I usually eat a little bit, not much at supper time, I'm sorry, dinner, depending on where you're from, okay? But since I've been working out, I eat all the time. Causality? Exactly, yes. So what am I trying to tell you as far as causality and correlation? You got to have a little bit of common what? Common sense. Capiche?
See.
All right. Who's got a question? Now, let's look at a question, or let's look at some of the things they're going to talk about in this section. Now that I've went through that, because that kind of gives you a little bit of context on, what we're going to be doing. Correlation, there's the definition, page 354 if you want the long correlation, but I like to tell students that a correlation is a pattern that relates to slope. A pattern that relates to slope. And you're looking for the key word and underline and highlight pattern, because you're either going to see an increasing pattern, a decreasing pattern, or what? Zero pattern. It's going to be a horizontal line. And you'll see that in the next couple of pages when we look over it. There's scatter plots. We talked about that. And I'm going to show you that in just a second on the spreadsheet.
That relates to slope.
Okay, here is a scatter plot.
Correlation.
This is called the biggest budget movies through 2016. All right, if you look, you'll see dots all over the place. Now, somebody tell me if you see a pattern. Kind of. It's kind of a what? Kind of a pattern that looks like this. Well, I was going to write it. Something like that. Now, how do I know that? Well, one, I'm a math teacher, okay? I'll give you that, okay? But if you was to do the formula, the tedious formula for this, you would find a line that looks something like that. Now, Hubert, I don't want to learn a tedious formula. You don't have to worry about it because I'm going to show you how to do it on your calculator and your Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so just chill. All right? So, but that's what you want to do. When you see a scatter plot, you want to be able to look at it and you want to be able to say, okay, I see a line of tendency. And it's going slightly upward. So that means there is a slight correlation. All right, let's move. And yes, now, Napoleon Dynamite, the movie Napoleon Dynamite, which I love that movie, okay, it changed this whole thing. You can't put Napoleon Dynamite on here because Napoleon Dynamite How much did it take to make Napoleon Dynamite? It like took anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 to make Napoleon Dynamite. Okay, nothing compared to the millions of dollars. And Napoleon Dynamite like skyrocketed and made millions of dollars. Okay, but you can't put that in there because that's an outlier. An outlier is something that's way out of the dang old 6 foot second grader. Okay, it's way out there. All right, so you can't put that in here. But there's, Lone Ranger. That movie really sucked. Captain America. Okay, I'm sorry, but Captain America needs a girlfriend. Okay, he needs a girlfriend. I don't like Captain America. All right.
Avatar was amazing.
Yeah, I don't like Avatar. I don't like those movies. I don't like cartoon movies. I just like SpongeBob. That's the only cartoon movie I like.
It's not really a cartoon.
I know.
It's hard.
Yeah, part ways. Star Wars, I don't care anything about that. Pirates, I don't get into pirates. I like the Avengers movie, but I don't like Captain America. I really, to tell you the truth, there's no horror movies on there, so you're not going to, I like horror movies, so. Anybody like horror movies?
I love horror movies.
Okay, good.
Do you like it? Did you watch
Yeah,
it?
I liked it. It was good. I like possessions. I like hauntings, demons, and haunted houses, and I love paranormal activity. I love paranormal. I love that.
Supernatural.
Huh? No,
TV
I
shows?
don't watch the TV shows. But I do not get into carjackings. I don't get into house invasions. Like, what is that movie called? The murder people?
John Wick?
No.
The Purge?
The Purge. I don't get into that. I don't get into zombies. To me, zombies are stupid. That's the stupidest movie I think ever been invented. Okay? Anyway, I'll shut up. That's why I don't care too much for many of these movies, and anything with Sandra Bullock in it. Okay. All right. Next, types of correlation. Types of correlation. Y'all settle down.
Ocean's 8 was really
Miss Riddle, you need to talk. Why ain't you talking, Miss Riddle?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. You're going to fail. All right. Here's the types of correlation. Types of correlation. She's hungover. She drank it. All right. Okay. Somebody tell me what kind of correlation the red dots are.
Is it positive?
Positive. Good. Because it's going left to right what? Up. How about the second one? Negative correlation, because it's going left to right what? Down.
Yeah.
Now you need to start training your eyes. You need to start, doing that, because you see that there's a line that could be put probably somewhere in there, and a line somewhere right in there. Which way do we read?
Left
Okay,
to right.
always remember, we read from left to right. Unless you're from the Middle East, Masalama, we read from left to right. So put you a car on the left-hand side of the line. Somebody tell me what that car is doing right here. Going uphill. What's this car doing? Downhill. Uphill is positive. Downhill is what? Negative. Simple as that. Don't make it confusing. So I'm going to ask you a question like that on a test. I'm going to have you a box, and all you got to say is positive correlation, negative correlation, or zero correlation. And you're going to see a zero correlation probably in the next example. If I can get there. Okay, there's part, no correlation, there is no parent. They'll show you one in just a minute. Okay, look at that one. Zero correlation, exactly. So you might want to write that one down as zero. 358, figure 541. This right here is a zero correlation because you kind of don't see an incline. Now, I promise you, after you look at about 10 graphs, your eyes will be able to see it, okay? Just bear with me. When you get through doing some of the homework problems and you see some of these graphs, you're going to start seeing it if you don't already. And these are the kind of test questions I will give you. Is this a positive correlation? Is this a negative correlation? This one is kind of a positive. This one is slight positive. So these are positive correlations. Same day forecast. Okay. 3-day forecast. Actual temperature. Okay. Next. And what did I tell you was the reason for the Nicolas Cage movie and the suicide rate? What did I say? It was what? Coincidence. Number one. The correlation could be coincidence. Or they might be directly influenced. I drink too much wine, I have to pee. Or the next one, which one may cause the other, okay? So number 2 and number 3 are kind of the same, all right? And then correlation becomes, when it does number 2 or number 3, your correlation becomes causality. Establishing causality. And basically they're trying to tell you, they're trying to explain to you in words how to have context and common sense. I'm not going to try to explain context and common sense. Okay? Let me ask you a question right here. Case study, cell phones and distracted driving. What do you think? Do you think there's causality there? Yes.
Yes.
So is distracted driving and putting on makeup. So is distracted driving and eating. Yes, all of those. Causality. Because one, eating, putting on makeup, and cell phones do what to your driving? Distract, Hubert. Thank you, class. Thank you, Miss Riddle. Y'all have hurt my feelings. That's it. They're not even going to ask you the stuff that I told you they would ask. So all you got to find is just the causality. I'll show you an example of a test question. There's a test question right there. Somebody tell me what kind of, down at the bottom, number 13, write number 13 down, 364. What kind of correlation is that? Negative correlation. Is there causality? Yes. Weight of car. City gas mileage or gas mileage, it doesn't matter. So you've got weight of the car and gas mileage. And I told you that was a direct causality. Let's keep an eye on our time. We only got 10-minute classes, so just keep an eye on it so y'all don't go into convulsions. This one, probably zero causality or zero correlation. Why? Because you see you don't see a positive. You can say, okay, there's a positive right there, but then what here? Negative. So one cancels out the other. If you see a positive and then you see a negative, then chances are it's going to be zero because one cancels out the other. So here's a positive. For those of you that don't see it, here's a positive correlation, but then you get there, and what does it do at the end of the blue line? It goes down into a negative correlation, so these two cancel out each other, so you have a zero correlation. This one is a slight, it looks like to me, it's a little bit slight, maybe a slight positive correlation. But it's not negative. Could be. No, it looks to me a little bit slight. I wouldn't give you one that close. I'm going to give you 3 that's very apparent, okay? Because you would actually need a calculator or a formula or an Excel spreadsheet to actually find out that one, okay? That one's kind of tricky. Okay, what about that one? The magenta one. What about that one? Negative correlation. Let's see if it's a causality. Average size in acres versus number of farms. That would make sense. Yes. The number of farms increase as the size of the farm goes what? Down. That would make sense because people have money to buy land, but not as much, but you're able to buy little farms. So that would make sense. Are you able to go out and buy a 15,000 acre farm? No. But can you go out and buy a 20 acre farm? Yes. More people can buy smaller farms. So yes, that would go up. The number of farms would go up. So that is a direct correlation. Most of the time, money causes causality, doesn't it? Except for the people that champagne taste and beer budget. Y'all know what that is, right? Champagne taste and a beer budget.
I got 5 credit cards.
Yeah, got 15 credit cards, got a Mercedes, and living in a mobile home. Yeah. Believe me, I got neighbors that drive a Mercedes or drive a, what do you call it? Cadillac, Escalade. And they live in a home that you can put wheels on. Okay. Yep. Champagne taste, beer budget. I shouldn't say that. I'm terrible. I'm awful. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. If you've got enough money to spend on a Mercedes or Escalade, you need to buy yourself a damn house. All right. Or at least an apartment. Okay. So that's what I give you. No correlation there. And that's what I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you very much. Now, what do you do if you want to put it in an Excel spreadsheet? Well, I don't think they're going to give you one, but I'll show you right quick how to do it on an Excel spreadsheet. Let me pull it up. And this is just for your information, okay? Just for your information. I have to say that 2 or 3 times because somebody, I don't know how to use Excel, I'm going to fail the test. I didn't say it was going to be on the test. I said for your information. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And then I'm going to put over here, I'm just going to put all kinds of numbers. 1, 8, 7, 12, 15, 32, 56, and 24, and 8. I have no earthly idea what this is going to look like. So here's my scatter plot. I highlight that. I go to insert. Let me move this trash out of the way. Let me highlight it again. There we go. Go to insert. And right here is scatter plot. Right there. Now, it's very hard to see. I see a positive correlation. It looks something like, I'm going to draw my line on it, and let's see what it looks like when I really do it. But here's my line. I'm going to draw a line that looks something like that. So I see a slight correlation. Okay? Do I need causality? I can't do causality because I don't even know what. I don't know what those 2 numbers, I don't know what those 2 columns represent. Does it mean the number of ice cream cones you eat a week and the number of pounds that you gain? I don't know. There's no title. So I can't, write this down, you can't predict causality if you don't know what you're working with. You can't. There's no way to do it. Okay? So if I give you 2 sets of numbers, I can ask for correlation. I can ask for slope. But I cannot ask for what? Causality, because I have no idea what these numbers represent. They could be the cost of a ticket, you know, or it could be your age, blah blah blah, and then something else. I don't know what but what do you do if you want to find the trend line? Trend line is another word for best fit. Okay, watch what I do here. I click on the dots. Everybody see that? I clicked on them. And all of them turned to an X. And then I right click and I hit add trend line. Look there. I'm close. And now, this is the best part. I can go over here and I can display equation. And there's the equation for my trend line. Yep. Now in 120, we get into this, okay? In Math 120, we get into it a little bit more. So if you ever want to take Math 120 with me, let me know, because I teach it pretty much every semester. And it's a good class to take with this or after this or before this class. So it's a good class because the first 2 units in this class is the first 2 units in Math 120. So you're kind of like, you're going over the same material. Okay. But anyway, there's the line, and there is, so what can I do with that line after I find the equation? I can predict this number right here. Well, hold on. I can predict the number right there. I can predict the number right here. Because I've got the equation, I can plug in 0 for x and get 1.94. So I know that number right there is 1.94. That's the y-intercept. If I want to put in 20, I'll put in 20 right here. Somebody put in 20. Take the calculator and plug in 20 times 1.6167 plus 1.9444. Do that for me. I'll blow it up for you. And this is just for your information. This is not, you're not going to be tested on this. I just want to show you why we do this. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Hold on a second. Well, I thought I was going to make it bigger. Well, let me try it again. I don't like to give up. There. Okay, it's not going to do it. The heck with it. All right, so what'd you get?
34.27.
Okay, 34. So I can predict that this number, when it reaches 20, when x is equal to 20, I know that my y is going to be 34. ... So I can predict where this line, this line is going. The dashed line is the one that you're predicting. So this is just for your information. I'm just showing you how to use the correlation. The correlation is used to set up the prediction. The causality is still based on the subjects and basically the context of the subjects. Does weight have something to do with gas mileage? Yes. Does liquid intake have something to do with trips to the restroom? Yes. Does Nicolas Cage have an effect on suicide rates? No. Does fried chicken have a direct correlation to heart disease? Yes. Because a lot of grease, a lot of fried. If you eat it every single day, yes. Does Marlboro Club have an effect on lung disease? Yes. Yeah. There is a causality. If you smoke a cigarette when you go to the bar, is that going to cause you to die tomorrow? No.
Probably not.
Okay? Everything has to be put in context and common sense. It's not good for you, but neither is the alcohol you're drinking. But anyway, if you're at the bar, you're not going to be drinking orange juice. I mean, really. You might, I don't know what you do. These days, I don't know. I don't know anything anymore after some of the stuff I've heard. Dang old closets and puppies, and I don't know. And you got to shave your mustache and your beard off because you don't want to be masculine. I think people have lost their damn mind. I really do. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's okay for men to not be masculine, but women they can have their what is it called? Femininity. It's okay for them. That is so. I'm sorry. I'll be okay. All right. Who's got a question about causality and correlation? Okay. Now you have finished chapter 5. So that means when y'all come back next week, we're going to get into the math. And that's chapter 6. Okay? So I want to call the roll, and I'm going to stop the recording.